This is part 2 of a 3-part series on how to navigate your Excel spreadsheet without using a mouse. Today we're going to show you everything the Alt key can do to help you navigate your spreadsheet without using a mouse. If you like the content and you want to see more, head on over to howtoanalyst.com and sign up for our bi-weekly newsletter. The first thing we're going to cover is everything that the Alt key can do in regards to your sheets. Sheets are these things down here. I sometimes call them tabs. Control, Alt, and Other. So the Alt key can help you add a sheet without using a mouse. The first step is click the Alt key. As you can see, some black letters popped up here, F, H, N, P, M. So once you click the Alt key, those letters indicate the tab that they can take you to. So we want to go to the Home tab, so we just click H, and now we're on the Home tab, and it gives us a whole new set of options. So to add a sheet, we want to be playing in this Insert section. So we've typed Alt-H-I, which is Insert, and then finally S for Sheet. And as you can see, we've got a new sheet down here, Sheet 1. Okay, what if we want to delete this sheet? Well, we can use a similar path to get to the Delete a Sheet section. Alt-H takes us home. D takes us to the Delete section. And S says Delete Sheet. And now it's gone. Let's add a sheet using the command Alt-H-I-S. And now we can rename the sheet with Alt-H-O in the Format section and R, rename sheet. So this is our new sheet. Here we are in our new sheet. Now let's just say we want to hide the sheet. We don't want to delete the sheet, but we no longer want to make it visible. Similarly, go to Alt-H-O for Format, U for Hide and Unhide, and S hides the sheet. Okay, now that we've hidden the sheet, let's say we want to unhide it. Alt-H-O, U, H unhides the sheet down at the bottom here. We pick which sheet we want to unhide and click Enter. Okay, now we're going to talk about formatting your cells using the Alt key. What are the different ways that the Alt key can format your cells? Now this one I use a lot. So as you can see, this column isn't big enough to display the data inside of it. So how do we make this column bigger to properly display the data that's inside of it? Alt-H-O for Format. I takes you to Auto Fit Column Width. So Alt-H-O-I automatically expands the width of your column to all the data inside of it. Similarly, you can do something with the row height using a similar path. So Alt-H-O, and then A takes you to Auto Fit Row Height. Alt-H-O-A. Now these things may seem confusing at first, but it's surprising how quickly your muscle memory kicks in. Some of these commands you may not use very much, but some of these commands you may be using on a daily basis, and your brain will remember how to do this more easy than you think it will. Sticking on the cell formatting train, let's talk about how to format the color of a cell. Not the font in the cell, but the color of the cell itself. So to do that, click Alt-H, and then click H again. And that takes you to the fill color. So Alt-H, Alt-H, H, and then I just scroll over to which color I want with my arrow keys. When you found the right one, click Enter. Using a similar path, you can get to the font. Alt-H, FC. See FC right there for font color. Some of these names make sense, like FC for font color. Changes the font, the color of the font. And these are things that you do frequently enough to where the shortcut can benefit you. Now this one I use all the time, and it's how to change the amount of decimals displayed in a number. So again, Alt-H, we're going to go look over here at 0 and 9. So Alt-H 9, Alt-H 0 adds decimals to your number. Alt-H 9 takes them away. One last piece about formatting. What if you want to just clear the formatting of a cell? This is orange with blue text. We don't want that anymore. We want to clear the formatting. Alt-H. E takes you to the clear section. And F says formats. So that clears all the formats that are currently in your cell. And if you watch the control video, you know we can Control-Shift-4 in Alt-H 9 to get back to where we were. Similarly, say you just want to clear a cell entirely. Back to the Clear tab, Alt-H, E, and A clears everything. Everything inside the tab. Alt-H, E, A. One last command on the Home tab that I use all the time is Go to Special. So to get to Go to Special, you Alt-H, find and select FD, and then G is Go To. Now if you watch the control video, you know you can also press Control G to get there. Because this is the Alt video, we'll get there using the Alt key. Alt-H, FD, G. Now, if you notice, there's an underline on the S here on the word special. S is underlined. When you see a letter underlined like that, it means that it's connected to an Alt key. So I can press Alt and S, and it would be the same effect as clicking on the special key. So let's do that, Alt S. And if you continue to look, there are underlined letters all through this menu. Underline O, underline F, underline K, underline R, underline A. Those are really helpful in navigating submenus. So not only can the Alt key help you navigate the ribbon, it can also help you navigate a submenu. So the best way I use Go to Special is I highlight a set of data, Alt-H, FD, S, takes us to Go to Special. And I like to use the Formulas section. So Alt-F takes you to Go to Special Formulas. And this just says this is just going to look for all the formulas in the data that you've highlighted. And this is very helpful if you've inherited a spreadsheet from someone and you don't know which cell is a formula and which cell isn't. So here we are, and we're just going to press enter, and it highlights cell E11. And it's right, E11 is a formula, whereas all the others aren't. That's it. That's all we're going to review on the Home tab. There's a ton of other things that you can do. I highlighted some of my favorite things, but feel free to play around. If you can click on it on the Home tab, you can also get there using the Alt key. Next, we're going to go over the Insert tab. The Insert tab is the tab to the right of the Home tab. If you press Alt, N is the command that gets you to the Insert tab. Alt, N gets you to the Insert tab. Again, there's a ton of things you can do from here. I'm going to show you some of my favorites, and then you'll be able to fill in the rest with yours. So we're going to show you how to insert a pivot table using the Alt command. So let's highlight this data and go to Alt, N for insert, and V is pivot table. We're giving a bunch of options. Select table or range. We've already done that. A little bit further down, you've got an option of where you want the pivot table. Do you want it in a new worksheet, or do you want it in an existing worksheet? In this instance, we want it in an existing worksheet, and we can use the Alt key to get us there. As you can see, the letter E in the word existing is underlined, so I can press Alt E and select that without using my mouse. Alt E, and then I get to choose the location, which is just going to be right here. Enter populates it, and now we've got a pivot table using the Alt key and not using our mouse. We're going to get rid of this pivot table and see what else we can do on the Insert tab. So Alt N, and if you pan over a little bit further, you've got C. C is for a column chart. So Alt N C, and then enter. You want the first option, and right off the bat, you've got a column chart. Now, we've got a video on column charts if you want to click on that, but today we're just going to show you how to insert one without using the mouse. And in review, it is Alt N C. Then press enter. That's all we're going to review on the Insert tab. Like I said earlier, there are tons of options on the Insert tab, and if you can click it, you can get there with the Alt key. I'd love to see all the different ways that you're able to use the Alt key on the Insert tab. We are going to move over to the Page Layout tabs. So how do you get there? Alt P takes you to the Page Layout tab. And we are going to set a print area using the Alt key. So let's highlight our data. So we've got our data with good column widths. We're going to go Alt P, R, and then, R is the print area section. Alt P, R, S. And that sets the print area of your sheet or tab. And that tells the computer what you want to print. So we'll go to the print area, and as you can see, all your data is on the sheet. Again, that was Alt P, R, and S, and I use that one all the time. Moving on to the Formulas section of the ribbon. How do you get there? Alt M gets you to the Formulas section. I really don't use the Formulas section all that much because I typically just type my formulas in using the equal sign. But there are a few interesting things. Alt M D gets you to trace dependence. Now in this instance, the formulas have no dependents, but we can show you what a dependent looks like. A dependent looks like this cell times 1.5. So if we highlight our data again, we go to Alt-M, D, that cell is cell F3 is a dependent of cell E3. And that's really helpful with formula auditing and spreadsheet auditing if you inherit a spreadsheet from somebody else. Now the other quick trick on the formulas is once you've checked all the dependents, once you've traced all the dependents, the easy way to get rid of them, to get rid of the arrows on your spreadsheet, is Alt-M, A, and that removes the arrows on your trace dependents. Moving on past the formula section, let's go to the data tab. How do you get to the data tab? Well, that is Alt-A takes you to the data tab. And my favorite shortcut on the data tab is the text to column section. So let's highlight an entire column and go to Alt-A. E is text to columns, and then as we've covered, there are underlined letters here, which means the Alt key can still get you from key to key. So Alt-A, E, F, and that texts to columns your data. Now, if you don't know what texting to columns your data does, head on over to my VLOOKUP video to learn what the text to column functions actually does. But for the sake of this video, I'm just going to show you Alt-A, E, F is a super fast way to perform the text to columns operation on your data. Let's chunk on down to the Review tab. The Review tab is to the right of the Data tab, and you get there pressing Alt-R. And my favorite part of the Review tab is the Spelling section. So simply press Alt-R-S to get to spelling. And apparently I have a spelling error. So as we've mentioned in the past, there are underlined letters here, so that means the Alt key can still help you navigate this menu. So I'm going to press Alt-C, and that will finish the spelling for me. So that's my favorite part. Alt-R-S brings up the spelling menu on the Review tab. Okay, the final section we're going to review is the final tab of the ribbon. It's the View tab. How do you get there? You press Alt-W. Now there's two things that I do all the time from the View tab, and I've memorized these Alt key sequences as such. The first is viewing grid lines. So as you can see, this file doesn't have any grid lines. So how do we show the grid lines quickly? Alt-W, VG. Now, let's say we don't want the grid lines. Alt-W, VG takes them away. I use Alt-W, VG all the time. Similarly, I'm always freezing panes. So if we scroll down, the pane is frozen here on store, city, state, row 2. So when I scroll down, those are always visible. That's very helpful. So your column headers are always in view. Well, how do you insert that? You go to the row below the row that you want to freeze, and you go to Alt-W, F, F, unfreezes panes. And how do you refreeze them? Alt-W, FF, refreezes the panes. Alt-W, FF, unfreezes the panes. Alt-W, FF, refreezes the panes. That wraps up our Alt key tutorial. If you have Alt key sequences that I didn't cover that you use every day. Leave them in the comments section below. And if you like this video and you want to receive updates straight to your inbox, head on over to howtoanalyst.com and sign up for the newsletter. The link is in the description below.